So we have a bit of a breaking news update when you have to look at the New Zealand cricket team in the World Cup of 2023. It is now official. Replacement has been confirmed by the ICC Technical Committee. Matt Henry, who suffered a hamstring injury during New Zealand's clash against South Africa, has been ruled out of the World Cup. Matt Henry has been ruled out of the World Cup, and in his place comes Kyle Jamieson. Now remember, Jamieson has played 13 ODIs for New Zealand, and because of that, he has been brought in as the cover. Coach Gary Steed himself had made it very clear that because of the nature of Henry's injury and because there is a very short turnaround time, they had no other option but to call in Kyle Jamieson as one of the replacements for Matt Henry. So, in the New Zealand camp, they are already ravaged by injuries. Lockie Ferguson's got an Achilles heel problem. Jimmy Neesham was hit on the wrist. Then you look at even Matt Henry, hamstring problem. Already you had two injuries in the camp, which has ensured that Kane Williamson has not been able to make it. Neither has Tim Southee. Now remember, Southee has recovered from his injury, and that's why he played the game against South Africa. But apart from that, there is a major question mark over whether Kane Williamson will be able to come back. Because remember, he is also touch and go for 4th November. Whether Williamson makes it, it remains to be seen. But if Williamson can't make it, then his next two games that New Zealand will be playing, that will be very, very crucial. And one of the games is against Sri Lanka in Bengaluru. So that is the current situation. So Kyle Jamieson, who was recently playing the Plunket Shield, was initially in as cover for Tim Southee. Remember, Southee was not fit for the World Cup, and just because he suffered that injury in the England series, Tim Southee was not in the World Cup squad, and that's why Jamieson was there as one of the covers in that side. Now, with Henry ruled out, Kyle Jamieson is going to play in the World Cup as well. Remember, 13 ODIs, and he was playing the Plunket Shield recently for his state side. So that is the current situation when you have to look at New Zealand's woes. They have suffered a worse dip in form at the most inopportune time. Plus, they are ravaged by injuries. As I had mentioned in the list earlier, you've got Tim Southee, who's just recovered. Kane Williamson still struggling with that injury. Then you've got Matt Henry. Then Lockie Ferguson and James Neesham. Now, Lockie Ferguson and James Neesham are slated to be available for the game against Pakistan because it's not a serious injury. Lockie's injury is not that serious. Jamieson will be in as cover for Matt Henry. He will play the game if the New Zealand team management decide to. Then Jimmy Neesham, his wrist, luckily there has been no injury to his bone, and that's why it's just a bruise. He will be playing if the situation arises on 4th. Now, New Zealand, unfortunately, they are 4th in the table at this point in time, and they are facing a must-win situation in the remaining games. If New Zealand lose to Pakistan tomorrow, that is in Bengaluru, then their chances take a big hit, because then they'll have to win their game against Sri Lanka, that is on 9th of November at the same venue. So if New Zealand manage to beat Pakistan, then they can make it. But if they don't, then their campaign looks to be derailed at the worst possible time. Because remember, New Zealand had started the tournament well. They were on top, but ever since October 22, they lost to India. October 29, they lost to Australia. Then on November 1, they lost to South Africa. So they have had 3 straight losses. And if they lose to Pakistan, against whom they have a very poor ICC ODI World Cup record, only 2 wins in the last 48 years, it will be a big blow for them. And that's why New Zealand, who started off well, they now are looking in the worst trouble in this ICC ODI World Cup. So Pakistan versus New Zealand, that game is going to be the big table churner. If New Zealand lose, their campaign might be derailed in the ICC ODI World Cup. And these list of injuries, that is really ensuring that they face an uphill task. Jamieson, remember, has not played that much of ODIs in the last couple of months, and getting him into the team, it is a risk, but that is a risk New Zealand will be forced to take because there is no one else at that point in time. Now, if you look at it, can Kane Williamson make a comeback? Because remember, Williamson was expected to be back towards the fag end of the tournament, but this is the fag end. Can Williamson be made available for the Pakistan game? It looks touch and go. Most likely he is not playing that game. So it's a crunch game, and at this point the ICC Technical Committee has approved Kyle Jamison's replacement for Matt Henry. Henry, remember, has underwhelmed in this World Cup. He bowled well against England, had good returns against Afghanistan and Bangladesh, but unfortunately, in that game against South Africa, he suffered a hamstring injury, and because of that, his World Cup is over. And Kyle Jamison comes in, and one hopes that he can recover from that whatever injuries had kept him out for 1 year. One hopes that there is not a recurrence of that, and he helps New Zealand win the next two games. The weather in Bengaluru, unfortunately, on 4th and the 9th, is not great. There is rain predicted, and remember, the 4th game is a day game. The 9th game is the day-nighter in Bengaluru. So that's why New Zealand have a very uphill task indeed. If they cannot win against Pakistan, then they face a very tricky situation against Sri Lanka, who, let's be honest, they have had a very equal head-to-head record in the past couple of months. But remember, Sri Lanka have not had a good run in this World Cup. They will be low on confidence, and that's why it's a must-win game. If Pakistan win against New Zealand, then you will see maybe Pakistan sneak through. If they lose to New Zealand, then their campaign is over. You're not seeing them win again. You're not getting to 10 points at this point in time. So big blow for New Zealand. Matt Henry out, Kyle Jamison in. Pakistan game on you may say 4th of November, followed by the last league game for New Zealand on 9th November against Sri Lanka. Must-win game. If they lose, they are out. Both, that is, if they lose both games, they are out. The weather is not good. 80% chances of rain on the 4th. Then you also have about 60% chances of rain on the 9th as well. So the weather in Bengaluru might play against New Zealand. And even if the game is washed out between New Zealand and Pakistan, still not a guarantee that Pakistan is eliminated. They will want Sri Lanka to beat New Zealand. And that's why Pakistan will be looking to ensure that they get full 4 points. So that's the situation. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on Sports Today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Show some love there as well. Bye-bye.